Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking Free Show. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and as always, I'm so delighted to have you join me today and for us to share this time together. I know so many of us are in and looking for opportunities to learn, to grow, to be entertained, and you came to the right place because we're going to learn today, we're going to have fun, we're going to be entertained, and we're going to talk and communicate and chat, which is my favorite thing to do anyway. And here I am in the sunny south of Florida. Usually I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, but because of COVID, I'm with my mother in Florida. So here I am. I'm away from home, but I'm doing all right, and I hope all of you are doing well too. So hi, Amnon. How are you?
I'm
You
fine, Marilyn. How are you?
good? As always, Amnon, I miss you.
Oh, I miss you too. It won't be long. Don't worry.
Yep. I know, I know. I'm used to seeing you across the desk every Monday,
Yep.
so kind of miss you. Anyway, listen, y'all, please join us in the chat. Put your name under our video and just comment, ask questions. It's a live chat. We'll monitor it if you have anything you want to add, and I hope you do because this is your show. And if during the show you'd like to call in and comment, ask questions to myself or my guests, please feel free to do that. You can do that on a phone at 919-518-9773. And I have another way for you to do it. You can come in on Skype, and that would be voice, not video, but voice. So you can join us at computers, that's plural, then the number 2K voice. And you can join us there as well. So I'd love to have your comments, your thoughts, your ideas, and ask questions because that's how we all learn and we grow. I'm going to be asking my guests a lot of questions, and she and I are going to be chatting. However, I only know what I know. I don't know what you know. So please feel free to engage with us so we all get to learn and grow. And multiple heads are better than one, is what I always say. So, Dorena, welcome to our show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So tell everybody that who you are and what you do, the Space Doula, and she's a big snoop in a good way. So tell everybody what you do.
I am a certified practitioner of feng shui and space clearing, but what I do is I look for patterns in the home and I look to see how our homes mirror our lives because when we shift the energy of one, we shift the energy of the other. So I do a little bit like Sherlock Holmes in our homes.
So first of all, for people who don't know, tell us what Feng Shui is.
It is a Chinese art that we really are looking at the flow of our homes. We're creating balance and harmony and flow within our spaces to uplift the energy in them.
And so does that mean that you work with what there is? Do you bring things in?
Both really. So what the feng shui is based on, one of the primary tools I use is called the Bagua map. And the Bagua map's an energy map, and it shows us what area of our homes relates to what area of our lives. So literally, if you picture a tic-tac-toe board and you overlay that over your home, that's how we determine it. So if you take your floor plan and you overlay this Bagua map, you will notice that the back left corner of your home is related to your wealth. The back right corner of your home is related to relationships. And then there's another 7 areas. So you can start seeing like if there happens to be clutter in your wealth area and your money is something that you struggle with, there's a connection there. So it's a way to make connection points between your home and your life.
So before we get into all that you do, can you just tell me, because I'm so curious, and maybe other people are curious too, where you came up with the name Space Doula?
It's interesting. It's actually gifted to me. I was in my son's karate studio and I had gone in to pick something up. I don't even remember what. And the karate instructor was working on his website. I said, oh yeah, I've been working on mine too. And this was years ago. And he said, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I help primarily women in their homes create a space that is safe for them to birth their dreams. That we create this blueprint where you can literally create the stage for how you want to live through your home. And he's like, oh, so you're a space doula. And I was like, oh, I like that. And so I claimed it. Yeah.
Wow.
It was from most, nowhere that you would have expected.
Right.
You know, when you go and try to name something or try to figure out and this was just an offhanded comment.
Right. I love those.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you go into somebody's house and you lay this map down. And do you have like a copy of this map that you can show us or not?
Um, I do. I don't know if I can.
Oh, you don't have it like in a paper form. Okay, forget it.
Um,
I was just curious what it looked like.
Trying to see if I can put
Okay,
like my hand on it real fast. But
okay, go
if
ahead.
literally pick, if you really imagine literally a tic-tac-toe board, it's 9 boxes, right? And each one of those boxes is a different area of our life. So if you go around, you start with career, there's inner knowledge, there's your ancestral family, those patterns that get passed down from generation to generation. There's your wealth, your reputation, relationship, your creativity, as well as travel, going out in the world, which every time I say that these days, I'm like, that area feels compromised to all of us. And your career, if I didn't mention that.
Okay, so let's take this map, okay,
Okay.
and let's kind of have fun with it. So I
Okay.
want everybody to kind of sit back, imagine where you live, okay, and let's talk a little bit about the room. Now you can do that because you can say, well, in the left part of your house, if you're facing your home, and you lay this map down, in the
Mhm.
left corner is your blah 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 blah. So let's see if we can have some fun with that.
Okay.
Yeah. So go ahead. So go ahead.
Well, let me give you just a few little rules. Although we say in the School of Instinctive, or the School of Feng Shui that I teach from, we say there are 2 rules. If it feels good, it's good feng shui. If it feels bad, it's bad feng shui. So this is not about fear. This is not about, oh my gosh, my bathroom is in my wealth area. I'm going to flush my money away. This really is about what feels good to you. And what feels good to you may not to me, and vice versa. So, but we do orient the map off of your front door. So some schools will orient by direction, but for our purposes right now today, picture yourself standing at your front door. And then, and loosely divide up your home into 9 areas. You don't probably have 9 equal rooms, but loosely, if you were to lay tic-tac-toe lines across your home, those are going to be our map.
Okay. So let's start at the, where do you usually start? In what room?
Well, let's start at your front door.
Okay. Oh, that's a good place to start.
Okay. And actually, let's assume your front door is in the middle of your home. Not for everybody. Sometimes for some, it's going to be on the left-hand side. For some, it's going to be on the right. But let's assume that your front door is right smack in the middle of your home. When you walk through your door, that's your career area, your life purpose. And so that's your life purpose and the journey of that, as well as, again, your career. That area is associated with, if that were to be your front door.
Okay. So the middle of your home is considered that way. The
Mhm.
middle of your home is your career path.
Exactly.
Okay. So that would be for anybody. And if your door is in the middle, what does that mean?
Nothing. I mean, there's no significance to the door
Okay.
being in the middle. But if your door, like we were talking about rooms, so whatever is in that front middle, whatever room, and that could be different for all of us, but for many, it is your front door.
Okay. So then what would that tell us about your career?
Well, it's not necessarily that it's your front door that it tells you, but if you look at that area now,
Okay.
whatever room it is that's in the front middle of your house, and you start looking at that from the perspective of like, okay, this is associated with my career. And maybe you have a broken doorbell. Maybe it happens to be your dining room where you never go. Maybe maybe it's your favorite room that you always sit in and has plants that are growing in there and lots of light coming in. So you can start making those associations. If it's a room that you never go in and that you dislike, how do you feel about your career?
Mhm.
If the
Interesting.
doorbell is broken, if that happens to be in the center of your home and there's a doorbell and it's broken and you're feeling like your career is not going anywhere, again, there's a connection.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so hold on a minute. So if anybody has a question about the middle of your house or the front door and how it relates to your career and something is going on in there that you're questioning, please give us a call. at 919-518-9773. I mean, who would have thought that the doorbell might mean that you're not going anywhere? So it'd be very interesting to give us a call and describe your middle of your home and the front door and see what that represents as it represents something in your life. That would be very cool. Or Computers 2K Now on Skype. Or you can join us in our chat, and either I or Amnon will see it, and we will ask Dorena the question or make the comment, because that would be very cool. So I would never have thought that the doorbell would have meant you'd go nowhere. You're not going
Well,
anywhere.
I'm just saying if it's broken, if there's something wrong, so again, what we're looking at is a metaphor between the two. So when I'm working with a client, typically where I start is what's going on in your life, right? Where are you feeling stuck? Or perhaps where do you want to expand more? So when they tell me that, hey, my relationship is just, I'm feeling alone a lot. Or they say, well, my money just, I don't know where it goes. It just keeps flying out the window all the time. Or I don't ever feel supported. Based upon what they tell me, then I look at that area of the house and I start saying, okay, is there a relationship between how they're feeling in their life? And then I look at their space. And I'll have to tell you, so far, I say always. I don't like to use the word always because somebody's going to prove me wrong. But there's always something.
So are you seeing patterns?
Yes.
With what are you seeing?
With the people that I tend to work with, I primarily work with female entrepreneurs. It tends to be who is attracted to this work. A lot of them will come to me saying they don't feel seen. That is something that comes up a lot. And so when they say like, yeah, nobody knows I'm here, or people don't seem to hear my message, I look at their fame and reputation area. So we were just talking about the front middle. Mm-hmm. Now let's jump to the back middle. The back of your home in the middle is your area that's considered fame and reputation, how you want to be seen in the world. And a lot of times with entrepreneurs, I'll feel some kind of, or women who say that this is an issue for them, I will find some kind of stuck energy in there. Or some representation that's not how they want to be seen. So do you want a quick story about that?
Yeah, I'd love one.
Okay, this will help. Yeah. This will help a little bit. When I started my business, when I became an entrepreneur, I was working off my kitchen table. And I finally was like, no, I need a space to be grounded in my home that I can call my office. And I was like, no, I can't take that room. So I had all these reasons why I couldn't claim this one room, which I happened to be in. I couldn't claim this space. I finally did. And then I decorate. And as time goes on, I'm like, wow, I'm not getting the word out. I'm not being seen as the space doula, right? My intention is to be seen as the space doula, and I'm not. What's going on? So I lay the Bagua map. You can lay it over your entire home. You can lay that same map over your entire property. And you can lay that same map over a single room. So I said, well, let me look at my fame and reputation area of my own home. So I look in my house in the back middle. It's my son's art desk. I look at the fame and reputation area of my entire property. So the back left part, my backyard in the middle is my son's playset. Then I come into my office and I look at the space that's in the back. It's this wall right back here. There were 3 very large black and white pictures of my kids. So the pattern, there's kids in all of my fame and reputation areas. And so as I thought about that, I'm like, oh yeah, I always put my kids first. And not that you shouldn't. I'm not discounting motherhood whatsoever. But what happened is I went from being a stay-at-home mom to jumping into running a business. And there are times I need to prioritize my business, and there's boundaries that I need to set. And I wasn't doing that.
And so what happened once you did?
So this has actually been a recent change. This was a blank wall for a while until I ordered this giant Space Doula sign. But then I found myself stepping out more. right? And so the energy, again, when you shift the energy of one, you shift the energy of the other. So I
Right.
moved furniture around. And I started saying, like, okay, how do I want to be known? And symbolically putting things of how I wanted to be known now, because I'm no longer a stay at home mom. Well, my oldest is 26, right? He doesn't need babied anymore. My 21-year-old doesn't need to be babied anymore. Not that I'm not there to support them, but it's different than it used to be. And I was still treating them like I
Mhm.
needed to be in their life 24/7.
That's interesting. So let's say, for instance, with my house, I'm in I'm in a townhome, in a rental. So I mean, the drive, you pull up and you come into the house on the side. So the house faces the side. The garage, okay? There's a window, then there's a garage, and then there's the door. And so when you walk into the middle of this house, you walk into a hallway, and then the steps go up. And then to the right is a living room, then a screened-in porch,
Hmm.
and then there's the kitchen, and then right next to the kitchen is so the dining room actually would probably be, if you went from the middle, from the door into the house all the way through, you'd come into the dining room. You
Hmm.
don't do that, but that's how the house would be.
Right, right.
So, and it's a rental. So what does that tell you? Anything just from my description?
So far, no. I want to know about your dining room.
Okay.
No, I want to know,
So
like, being in the dining room. What do you do in there? How do you feel about how you're seen right now? And then do you have clutter in there? Is it filled with beautiful things that you love? Like, tell me more about, describe
okay.
this.
So my whole house, for the most part, is filled with things I grew up with.
Hmm.
A lot of the paintings are things that my mother and my father had in their home that I love. I mean, everything I have, I love. I mean, the furniture in my living room is furniture that was our furniture growing up. I mean,
Hmm.
and it I love, and antique looking. Some of the furniture I have is from my first marriage, and I love it. I kept what I like, and then some from my mother-in-law. I mean, I love having furniture passed down.
Hmm.
My bedroom furniture is my furniture since I've been 11. I've never since I've been 11 had any other furniture in my entire existence. But it's armoires, and it was made back in the day to fit a twin between, but it was also made to fit a king.
Hmm.
And that's been my furniture since I was a little girl. So I'm surrounded with memories and things that feel good and warm to me.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so my question would be: is there a place in your life that you'd want to experience more? You'd want expansion.
I don't know. I mean, I think my life is pretty expanded.
Mhm.
Honestly, as far as my career is concerned, I mean, there are things that I'm working on that I would like to, for my books, let's say I'd like to have an agent, but, and I'm working on it, but I'm not saying that there's any area in my life that I'm not addressing expansion. Everything
Mhm.
I'm doing is expansion. I don't do anything that's not expansion.
So, so you mentioned an agent. So right away, where I go to is the front right corner of the house, which is considered travel and helpful people.
Front
So,
right.
so when I think of an agent, I think that this is somebody supporting you in your book, in your books going out in the world,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So that front right area is travel and helpful people. So travel is, from a business perspective, that is you getting your message out. Excuse me. And then the support piece are people supporting you in doing that. So based upon what you said, that's the area I would look at. And I would, so funny, there's a squirrel playing outside my window. Squirrels are all about play, and he's like dancing all around.
Well,
So that
so if you put that together with what you're saying, what does that mean?
it's all about is having fun doing this, that this is playful, right? Don't, so often people hear this and they hear rules and they hear, I have to do this. And there's this a little bit of anxiety that comes up, right? To get it right. And it's really about playing, right? And it's about, oh, what if we shift this way? What if we move this? And how can we shift the energy in it? How can we uplift it? Because here's something that I think is really important that we forget. We are dynamic beings, and we are on this upward spiral. Constantly, like you said, I'm always expanding, I'm always going upwards. And that means the energy of our homes have to increase just like we are increasing. So often people will be like, oh, my house is organized, I'm done. My house is decorated, I'm done. I'm like, no, you have grown. So let's see how your house can grow with you. So for you, when you talk about the furniture, there's a piece of comfort, a piece of security, a piece of stability, I feel like, with that. But then maybe there needs to be, and maybe you have this, right? Because I haven't seen your space, but let's jazz it up too, right? Let's make sure that you're constantly refreshing it and adding some newness so that it doesn't have a stagnant feeling.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, funny, when I walked in, when we sold our house and we're looking to rent something in Raleigh, because my children live there and I wanted to live near them, everything I looked at I did not like. And then when I walked into this place, it's small, but it overlooks water. When you walk in, you see like a pond. And I thought, yeah, this is perfect. This is a perfect house for me to create in, because that's very important, to be able to be somewhere where you can be, where you can create. I mean, everyone, if you're going to have an office, I mean, this is important. You know what? Let's bring it back a little. And I do play in the house. I have lots of parties, and I love sitting out on the deck, and I love sitting out at the water. So I love to create. And I think that's important now, even because of what's going on with COVID-19. So many people are in their homes.
Yes.
And and so tell us from your perspective, and from this whole notion of the energy, what would you say? I mean, what advice do you give people? I mean, and let me interrupt you before you even start. People are working all over their homes. People are, somebody's taken on in the kitchen, somebody else is in the office, somebody else is using the living room as their office, or the kids are on, everybody's online. So what do you say about that?
Right. That's an interesting, it's our reality now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there are a couple things. I've been talking a lot about this. One, there's boundaries, routines, and communication. So boundaries have never become more important than they are right now. I see a lot of people moving their workspace from space to space to space. They're all over the place. And they're also feeling like they're not, some of us are used to working at home, but more for the people who aren't used to that, all of a sudden that becomes very commingled. The work, the personal and the professional gets very muddled together. So my first piece of advice is really to find a space to work. And not that you're not going to occasionally get up and sit out on the back deck. Not that you're not occasionally going to sit on the couch, but find a workspace that you call home so you can ground that energy and you don't feel like you're ping-ponging all over the place.
Okay, so tell us about grounding the energy. So if you find yourself a spot, whatever that spot is, how does somebody ground the energy, and how does it feel when the energy is not grounded and when the energy is grounded?
So, I mean, we can approach this from two different perspectives. Let's take the practical. So if you create this workspace, and I keep recommending, the Container Store has this alpha rolling filing cabinet, like rolling filing cart, which, just a place, because you may have probably, I don't know. I don't know how many people actually had a vacant desk that now becomes a work desk. But maybe it's the kitchen table, but you have this rolling filing cart there, right? That you have all your belongings from a practical perspective. You are grounded when you have all your work belongings together in one space. That's why I love the cart. You can put your laptop on it. You can have some files. That will feel grounded. when you are moving your laptop from space to space to space, you have papers in the dining room, you have papers in the living room, you have papers in the kitchen. That does not feel grounded. That feels scattered.
All right. So wherever you decide to plop yourself, whatever part of the house you are we're sharing our houses. So whatever area you are going to call, you need an area you call your own.
Yes.
Everybody does, right? So you need
Mhm.
that area that you can feel comfortable, that your papers don't move, that your pen doesn't disappear. And that, I heard a long time ago an author that I really, really love. He had some of his favorite books on his desk, not necessarily his books, just the books that inspired him.
Mm,
And that would feel good to him. And I've never forgotten that. So that's something people can do wherever you're working, is to have it so that you have something there, whether it's a plant, something that
mhm.
helps you feel comfortable, right? Because that's good feng shui.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
love that. So, create that little space for yourself, create that little sanctuary space. And you might have to rearrange furniture, right? Because your living room might have to accommodate two people. You might have kids who are working. Depending upon how large your home is or not, how many rooms that you have, you might have to rearrange furniture, and that can create a division of space. You
Mm,
might have to hang a curtain temporarily. You might need to be creative to do this.
mm,
But back to your question about how does it feel when you are grounded? You feel so much stronger, so much clearer
mm.
to do what you need to do.
Right. Yeah, before a month or two before I actually left Raleigh, I used to be working in my bedroom because that's where my
Mhm.
desk was. And then we moved into this house. That was the perfect place to put this desk. But I got tired of working in my bedroom. I really didn't like it anymore. And I felt it. So I started looking all around the house, and it's small, for where I could work. And then I realized, well, there's a table over here on this wall. I bet you I can work over there. And it's in the living room. And I'll tell you what, it has made the biggest difference to me. Something so small, I was so excited. I'm not far from the kitchen, so I can get a glass of water whenever I want. It just felt great. And you just have to take the time, I think, to kind of get in touch with what that's g- t- what that's going to look like when you work from home. You have to figure that out,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. And that's one of the things I recommend for people, if at all possible, either not to work in your bedroom, but specifically not in your bed, because your brain associates your bed with sleep. And so I had a client who called, and she was working on studying for a accounting exam, and she's like, "I'm so tired all the time," and she was literally working in her bed. I'm like, "You need to get out of the bed." Right? So because your brain, you want, when you get in bed, you sleep. And when you're in your workspace, you work.
So you really get into in doing the feng shui, you really get into the emotional, a lot of the, I mean, with people. And
Yes.
instead of somebody saying, coming to you, I mean, they really come to you with the emotion that you have to really understand to be able to find out what's going on in their home, and vice versa.
Yeah, I do a session, it's called a house whispering, and we spend the first half hour, 45 minutes talking. Tell me about, I ask questions, I say, I promise them that it will all come together. But, tell me about what it was like growing up. Tell me, your hopes, your fears, because it all comes together in your home. Your home will always tell us what's going on.
Mhm.
I just had an amazing experience myself because I look a lot at the area of our home related to ancestral family. That's the middle left.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to ask you, that was very interesting when you mentioned that. I wanted to ask you about it, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
Yeah, so we have those patterns, right? The ones that you're like, oh, my mom did that. Oh, her mom did that. That they're generational. They keep getting passed down from generation to generation. And in my family, it was one of working hard. Like, you just worked hard. It was not about being, it's about doing. The more you do, the more you do. And so the area of my home related to ancestral family happens to be my laundry room. It's the middle left side. And so I consciously decided this was a pattern I wanted to shift. And I just couldn't seem to shift out of it. The doing part is so ingrained in me. And I was exhausted. So I look in my laundry room and I'm like, oh yeah, that light in the laundry room constantly flickers on and off. And my husband would fix it and then it would break again. The washer and dryer he's an engineer, so he can fix just about anything. So the washer would break, he would fix it. There was a hole in the linoleum from when he pulled the washer out to fix it. On and on. I'm like, oh my gosh, my laundry room's tired. My laundry room's as tired as I am. So a year ago, I did this complete makeover of the laundry room. We got a new washer and dryer, we tiled the floors, I painted the walls gray. Fast forward, and I'm like, still not feeling like I'm still not being, I'm still in the doing. And one day I walked around the corner into the laundry room. I'm like, oh my gosh, I changed it, but I changed it to be cold and sterile, utilitarian, functional. So it's not tired anymore. It's now a robot, which I identified with. I was going through the motions, right? So I kid you not, I decide I'm going to change it again. So this is a second makeover a year later, which happened to be this past December. What about 3-4 months ago? So I said, how do I want to feel in this area? And I'm like, I want to be joyful. I want to be slow. I want to be playful. So I pick wallpaper out that are turtles, and they're going up the wall. It's an orange background with turtles going up the wall. A lot of times, lose my mouth for a moment, but a lot of times I'll say, you can't make this shit up. And this is a moment where this applies. So on March 13th, 14th, the wallpaper installer is in my home hanging this wallpaper up. I've set the
Amnon? Hello?
Mm-mm.
No, we lost her?
Yep.
Okay, I didn't know if we lost me or her. Anything is possible. Well, she was really, God, I can't wait for her to come back, right? Because she was really getting into it. It's very interesting when you think about it, how our our homes are mirrors of our lives. I mean, I find that to be so interesting, and what that means. When I look at this house, and I want to go back and ask Dorena when she comes back about my living room, and as she's speaking, I'm wondering which part is really the middle of my house, because I find this very, very interesting, and what it really means as far as, oh, here she is.
I got kicked off in the best part of the story.
Wow. Okay. Well, I was just talking about how interesting this is, and I'm glad you came back. I wasn't sure if I got kicked out, or you did.
I don't know.
Okay.
You ready for me to jump back into it?
Yeah.
Or you want
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Okay, so March 13th, 14th, the wallpaper installer is at my home hanging up the wallpaper. The wallpaper for me says joyful, slow, playful. And March 15th, Governor Cooper closes schools. Businesses start closing, activities are canceled, right? We're starting to shelter at home. One of the things that I put up that first makeover was the Pottery Barn Command Center, the one with the whiteboard calendar and the to-do list. So I had in my laundry room before the wallpaper, I had the whole, here's how I figure out my life with the calendar and the cork board. I didn't want to put it back up because I didn't want to put holes in the new wallpaper. And about March 17th, 18th, I'm like, I have no schedule. I have no calendar anymore. And then I was like, I literally have no calendar hung up in that ancestral family. And so what this has been calling me to do, and it mirrored my life, it mirrored COVID-19 in our pandemic, right? Is that slowing down? And so that is how I have begun to shift it. Energetically, I shifted the energy in my laundry room. So it's this constant reminder now just to be. I don't need to do anything right now, just to be.
And you're listening?
I'm being forced to, right?
Mhm.
There's not a whole lot of places to go, but yeah, I'm
Mhm.
constantly, every time I walk in and out of that room, because it connects to my garage, that's how we walk in. So every time I'm in there, it feels different. I'm like, I love this.
Mhm.
And so there's this connection point, there's this reminder, like, you don't have to do anything. You're whole and you're worthy just for being you. I get emotional when I think about it. I don't need to prove myself.
Mhm.
And so again, when I shift one, I can begin to shift the other, and
Mhm.
the two work tandem.
And this is which part of your house would this be?
Ancestral family,
And this is the back left?
middle left.
Middle
So about
left.
halfway, if you're looking at your house, you're looking at your house. So about halfway, all the way on the left hand side, about in the middle of the home.
Mhm. And so what happens if your home is 2 stories or 3 stories? How do you lay out your house then?
Yeah, normally what I do is I lay out the bottom floor. And then just for ease, I think about what's right above. Like if I'm in my office right now and this is travel and health for people, well, what room's right above?
Mhm.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Okay, so then that's how you would do it. Okay.
Mhm.
So what other, like, when you talk to people in that room, because that's very interesting,
Mhm.
the ancestral room, what other kinds of things pop up for people?
Oh my gosh, so much. I mean, think about every self limiting belief that we have,
Which is a bunch.
right? Um,
Mhm.
so there's so many things. It's almost like the area that I want to go to first, and sometimes people aren't ready to. Um, but it is really where so much lies,
Mhm.
and it affects other areas too. So for me, the doing, I feel like I had to do. If you go to the other side, because I talk about balance, right? Feng Shui is all about balance as well. If you go to the other side of the home, that's called children and creativity. So a lot of times, if somebody says, "Oh, I start projects but I don't finish them," I look in that area, that middle right area, because creativity is not just starting something; it's finishing it. It's coming that full circle.
Mhm.
So I realize, and children is our children, right? But it's also our inner child. So a lot of times those beliefs that happened ancestrally show up, create fears in our inner child, hold us back. So you can kind of look at those two areas of the home. And then those fears are what often keep us from living in our true purpose or being seen. So it affects, so it's just all of a sudden, like I start really, when I work with somebody, there's a huge intuitive process to it. I start bouncing around to those different 9 areas, and
Mhm.
I start, like, it's like breadcrumbs, and I'm like, oh, you told me this piece of information, well, now I'm going to backtrack and I'm going to see where else that affected.
Interesting. So I
It's
want
fascinating.
Say that
It's,
again?
it's fascinating.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I just want to remind everyone that you have the opportunity to call in. I'm just sending you an invitation again to 919-518-9773. You can join us in our chat. Just put your name, nickname, whatever you like, and you can comment in there. And there are a few people in there, so please feel free to ask questions or comment. And you can also join us on Skype voice. You won't be coming in on video, but you will be coming in on just voice. So computers, 2K voice, and I'm sure you have a question about something in your house. Maybe one of your room, maybe your kitchen. Kitchen's a big is a really important area. That's another strong area to talk about. Bedroom, are you blocked? You know, Something just came to my mind, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering. So one of the things, blocked sexually. How does that come out in a bedroom?
Wait, a lot of times with some of the women I work with, I will hear that they feel alone, or that there's a imbalance in the relationship. So two places I look. One is the area of the home that's associated with relationship. And depending upon your house, that room's going to be different. So for me, it's again, well, for everybody, the area associated with relationship is the back right corner of the home, the very back right. For me, that happens to be my living room. And if I go upstairs, it does happen to be my bedroom. But for somebody else, it could be your kitchen, whatever room is there. That's the first place I look. So I look for clutter. I look for things that are broken.
Okay.
I look for where the energy is off in that area. That's one place I look. The second place I look is in the bedroom. That's the most intimate space, right?
Mhm.
Again, I don't want to say always,
Yeah.
but what I find is when there's imbalance in the relationship, very frequently, you will see one nightstand instead of two nightstands, or you'll see one nightstand that's really petite. And I had one client who was just this tiny little nightstand, and her partner had this huge, ginormous. And again, there's an imbalance. We want, from a feng shui perspective, we want two nightstands. We want there to be, they don't have to be the same, but they should be equally weighted. We
Yeah.
want, right? So
Yeah.
you can start looking at a space to see. I always talk about kids' pictures. So when you talk about from a sexual, from an intimate relationship, do you want your kids in your bedroom? But how many people actually have their kids' pictures in their bedroom? So start looking, who else is in your bedroom? Do you have family pictures in there? They need to be someplace else.
And some of these things that you're talking about, when you talk about in terms of, let's say, the nightstand, that makes perfect sense. So if our audience can look at those things about your bedroom and see where my guess is a lot of people already know these things instinctively. They just sometimes need somebody else to point them out. I mean, if you see that you have a nightstand and, two different size nightstands and you're feeling insignificant, well, where else, what else are you doing to feel insignificant? Who is doing the serving in your home, and um, where's the balance of work in your home? I mean, it's going to show up in all over as far as balance. Amnon, are you here? Amnon? Are you here, Amnon?
I'm
Okay.
here.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. Because I wasn't sometimes, and forgive me, my audience, I am not sure if when somebody goes away, if I'm here. So that's why it's good to hear when you come
Yeah.
back. Okay. Okay. That's good. Did you hear what I said, Dorena?
I did not. Say it
Okay, what I
again.
was saying is it's good to use the nightstand as an example, because it's a good example to show where else is there an imbalance going on in your life, whether it's in the kitchen, it's how you serve, it's the imbalance of power when you clean your home. Do you clean your home? Do you get help? Or are you the only one doing it? I mean, that is a really simple way of looking at it. So it's
Mhm.
very important that we take that on. Um, I want to remind everybody that this is a perfect time to call in again, because I don't want you to go away and say, I should have asked her this. I should have questioned this. This is a good time. So please feel free to do that. So, I always heard with Feng Shui that it was about bringing in water and sound, and that you needed a mirror in the right place. Where does that fit in?
Okay, so there are different elements associated with each of those 9 areas. So water is associated with the career area. So we do want water in your career. We want it flowing.
Oh, so the fact that I have a little pond in the back of my house is a good thing.
No, we want it in the front. We want it in the front middle.
Ah, well, it's not.
The back middle.
Mine
Better than
is.
nothing. What?
Mine is.
Oh, yours is? Ah, okay, good. Well, I guess it's better than nothing. Go ahead.
The back middle, when we talk about fame and reputation, the element is fire. We don't want water putting out your fire. We don't want water putting out your passion. So again, there's things we can do. it's just because you have a pond back there is not all is lost, but that's where we want to add fire. We want to add things that are um, candles, the color orange, the color red. All those things will be helpful. Um, so it's not about just adding water. Water's associated with emotions in feng shui. So if you have clogged pipes or you have leaky drains, those are something where we're going to want to look at what emotions might be stuck. And then, so that's the water piece. And then you also mentioned mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
So mirrors act like water. So again, a mirror in your career area will be really good. We don't necessarily want to put a mirror in your, again, this tends to be a layered art. So we shift things, but where there's a fire element, we may not want to put a mirror is going to cool things off. We do want to use a mirror to bring the outside in. So nature is always good to come in. So we want to bring that out. So to have a mirror reflecting a window is beautiful because that will bring the nature in.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
So what you didn't say anything about the pond in the front yard. What does that mean?
Well, there would be water in the front. So that would be, as long as the water is
Does that
like
mean
flowing.
does that mean that our pipes are clogged?
Does that mean your pipes are what?
Are clogged up or leaking?
No. That would be inside your house. If you had, like, let's say you had a clogged drain in your bathroom, that would
Okay.
be something that would be clogged emotions, perhaps. Let's say in the relationship area of your home, you had a clogged bathroom drain.
Mhm.
That could be perhaps you're feeling stuck in your relationship. You might be feeling stuck in your communication.
Okay.
But the pond in the front of the house is going to be a positive because there is water there, unless the pond is nasty in some sort of way.
No, it's got fish in it.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Beautiful.
Fish, fish that are like moving,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's awesome. That would be awesome to have in your career.
Good.
That'd be very fortuitous. Yeah.
So Amnan. So the fact that is awesome. So and it's connected to your career. Do you feel the connection? Do you see the
I
connection?
always knew it. I always knew I was awesome.
Mhm. So,
It just went over her head.
no, I didn't hear it. Say it
I
again.
said I always knew that I was awesome.
Oh, I know that. You don't have to tell me that. I already knew
No,
that.
I never knew that it's connected to anything.
Uh-huh. So the connection you make, let's say with Amnon and he does computers and he does these shows, how would you connect the pond to that type of career?
I don't know that I would connect the pond with it. It's just it's a positive that he does have that water there because the pond's not in his house, right? The pond is in front of his house, perhaps not something that I don't know if it's part of your property or not part of
It
your
is.
property.
It is.
Oh, okay. But having the fish in there is great. The fish moving around is great. If again you wanted to, that's one way that he increases the energy in his career area. As far as like the computer and technical piece, maybe there's something I can't off the top of my head think of what symbolically, but maybe there's something symbolically he would want in that front middle part of his home. Maybe there's something he would want to add. It could be the colors in that area are dark tones like blacks and dark blues. That's positive to increase the energy in that space. Plants, maybe you add some plants in the pond. Maybe there's some of those like water lilies. That could be a cool thing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And there are turtles in there.
It sounds beautiful.
It is.
It is. It is. And we all get to enjoy it when we go into the studio.
Yeah, it makes me want to see it now.
Good. So I guess I wanted to ask you, let's see, Aman, you have my books?
Yeah,
Okay. If you would put them up.
sure.
Okay, here are my books, all on Amazon, except for let's see. Men are up, twins are up, millennials are up. Soon the opioid will be up, and of course, with this time, I'm going to be working on Black fathers. So the first three are up on Amazon. They're ebook and paperback. Great stories, and we learn the most. We're going to learn about each other through our stories, right? So if you're interested in men, there's wonderful insights men share, and they're timeless. Twins, timeless. And millennials, timeless. It will never change. So, Amazon, if you have any questions, please ask me. Okay, Dorena, tell everybody about you and what you do and where they would find you and how they would find you if they wanted to work with you.
My website is spacedoula.com, SPACEDOULA.com. So that's where you can read about house whisperings, as well as I'm on Facebook at Space Doula and on Instagram at Space Doula as well. I have some upcoming classes which are advertised on Facebook. So I did a series of 4 classes about what to do in when the world is topsy-turvy. How can you use your home? And so this coming Friday, there's a class on creating intention altars. So the first thing that we do in Feng Shui is we are creating the intention. It's the very first step. What do you want to bring in? And so what I'm learning so much is that there's so many silver linings on the other side of what we're going through right now. So I'm learning, like I said, with my turtle wallpaper, right, about slowing down. And this has really forced me to slow down. So when I look at on the other side, there's things I don't want to bring back into my life. There's things that have been stripped away. And there's some things I want to run back to, but there's other things I don't want to bring back, right? So I'm looking at, when we create an intention altar, what do we want life to look like on the other side of the pandemic? And we can create what's an intention altar to draw that energy to create form from the form to the formless. So because the energy is coming, but we don't have a touch point for it yet. It's still coming. So when we create this altar, that's how we call it forth. So that will be this Friday.
So a little bit more discussion about that. So how does that affect the feng shui in your house?
It is
the intention.
Yeah, it's the first piece. It's because if you don't know, it's like it's the roadmap. It's the roadmap for where you're wanting to go. Because what I do, what feng shui does, is we're shifting the energy, and we want to shift it to what feels good to us, and we need to know what it is we want, right?
Right. So for example, let's say for instance, people have been home. They've been working in their home office. They're going to continue working in their home office indefinitely, but also because they like it. Or people have been cooking more. So you're finding you're needing to do different things in your kitchen now that you're home, but also in the future because you have more experience in there and you want to be there. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yes, and and to go deeper. So starting there and going deeper. So when we create an intention altar, it's literally like, and it's sometimes people can have I don't know, and maybe a negative association with an altar. But literally, an altar could be a vase of flowers. It could be symbolism representing your intention. So with the example of the kitchen, if you're saying, I want to nurture more, right? I have loved nurturing my family. Then when we create this space, like, okay, that's one of my intentions, that I want to create a more nurturing environment in my home. So that's how I want to feel. I want to feel loved. I want to feel connected. What was it about cooking? Is it that it connected you as a family? And so, maybe connection is one of the words that you're going to want to be part of your intention altar. So maybe there's a circle. Maybe you have a ring of some sort that symbolizes connection for you.
I love that kind of a conversation because I think what's coming is going to be pretty extraordinary. I don't think it's going to be easy, but I certainly think that once this COVID and this whole thing is we're more on the other side. I don't know about it being over, but we're more on the other side. I think we're going to be more empowered to take our lives into our hands in a different way. And I think the more conversations we can have about that, the better. I mean, a lot of people are, this has been the major timeout.
Hmm.
So, I have a feeling people are going to want to stay home more, even when they have the ability to leave. So to dress up their home and to appreciate it and to feel the gratitude and to bring in the water or to pay more attention to the flow and the energy of your home is going to be very, very important to keep
Yeah, I agree.
to just because we've gained so much. What'd you say? I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, I said I agree.
Said, yeah, we've gained. We've gained a lot. We've lost a lot during this time, but we've gained a lot too. And I, for one, feel it's very important to keep that conversation going. So tell everybody again where they'll find you and about your, the Friday and all that's starting in your Facebook group. Tell everybody that about that again.
Yeah, so it's my website is spacedoula.com. And again, where I start with people is in a house whispering session. And that really is, let's look to see how your home mirrors your life. I'm also on Facebook, Space Doula primarily. That's one of the main places you can find me and interact. I have a private group through my business page. You can join a private group. And then you can also see there's a link for the class. There's a class this Friday and there's one the following Friday. So they're just easy, 1 hour, low commitment, low cost, just to get a feel for it. And this Friday, again, is going to be about creating the intention altar. And then next Friday, we're going to do the art of decluttering. And let's talk about the energy of your belongings, because for you, you had those, your bed as a child, and that feels warm and the energy is good for you. But to somebody else, they may have had a horrible childhood and that actually bed holds negative energy. So how do you figure that out? And that's the kind of thing we'll be talking about on May 1st.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. So this has been a great conversation. I want to thank you very, 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 very much for being here today. And, maybe somebody will take a look at their home for the first time in a different way and take a look and be able to, have a feeling. I mean, it's, like you said when you opened up, it either works or it doesn't work. If it's not working, you know it.
Mm-hmm.
And if something is working, you also kind of know it too. And it's very important to take a look because our home is so important to us. It is our refuge. It is that security that we have. And it's very important to take a look and to feel comfortable in your home, regardless of where you are. So, it's take a look, feel where you are. And I loved our conversation. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
appreciate it. My pleasure. Any final word of advice?
It's the one thing as you were saying that I think, again, the silver lining, and I've been doing a lot of hashtag silver lining of the sheltering at home, is that because we have to spend so much time, yes, the ideal is that our home is the refuge, but it's not that for all of us. For some of us who constantly were distracted and were going out, I've had clients who love to say, like, oh, I felt great when I'm not at home, but then I come home and my energy falls. Well, this is an opportunity now that we're here to actually feel, because as women, not solely as women, but we have a tendency to run and run and run and run and run and turn off. So back to that, like, how do you feel? If you want to come from that turned on place, slowing down is going to be helpful. And when we become more turned on, then we can feel our surroundings and know what needs to be changed.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to take much.
No.
It doesn't have to take much. It just move a little something around, some flowers, just doesn't have to take much. So with that, thank you, Dorena, for being here. Amnon, thanks so much for all that you do. And everybody out there, please stay safe, stay home, do your best, wear a mask. Just let's get through this so we can get done, so we can all be out again, because I, for one, want to go out some too. So anyway, I love you all so much. Thanks for being here. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.